Hello, pioneers!
Hello, pioneers!
Congratulations on Pi Network becoming more than 500,000 engaged pioneers. That means that we are on track for our goal to become the world's most widely distributed cryptocurrency. And in order for us to achieve this, over the last couple of weeks and months, we have been deploying a lot of infrastructure upgrades.
This is also the beginning of the fourth quarter of 2019. We're working on beginning to enable the first in-app transfers of Pi by the end of the quarter. To do so, we need a reliable way to determine which accounts are true and trustworthy so that bad actors cannot hoard Pi.
So that means, pioneers, that all of us need to work together in the upcoming weeks to keep Pi safe while we enable these first in-app transfers. Congratulations, pioneers. We've all taken another huge step forward to building a social cryptocurrency that's backed by everyday people like you and us. So we'll be seeing you around, and congratulations again. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Hello,
Hi,
pioneers. This video will be introducing Pi's apps platform. Let's look at why we need an apps platform. Our first goal in phase 2 is building value. As discussed in our strategy overview video, to build value, the network needs to build intrinsic utility for Pi. By enabling people to spend Pi to exchange for real value and products at scale, be it entertainment, access, influence, knowledge, or buying and selling real goods and services. To create a full-fledged ecosystem that mirrors the breadth and scale of traditional economies, it's impossible to have all applications built by the core team alone. So our strategy is to decentralize the development of the Pi's ecosystem through the apps platform. For example, if Pi's marketplace are necessary to facilitate and scale healthy Pi transactions, members of the community or external parties can create Pi apps of different marketplaces that vary by region, language, or different types of services and goods. While the core team can be experts in all varieties of apps, our global community and external parties can be. Pi core team will focus on providing the platform to facilitate others who are more specialized in specific domains to build those apps, such as e-commerce, logistics, supply chains, gaming, real estate, and financial services. In addition to the platform, Pi core team will only develop a few key Pi apps that are closely tied to Pi's vision and community building. Based on our initial research, third-party developers of decentralized applications are very excited to tap into and contribute to Pi's ecosystem through the platform, because Pi's philosophy of user accessibility and large active global community are a rare resource in the crypto space.
So what will the apps platform look like? The apps platform will allow third-party developers to build applications that facilitate structured transactions using Pi. The apps platform can include both apps that are built within Pi network, called Pi apps, as well as external applications that are able to integrate Pi into their payment options, and we call those Pi payments. Pi apps will be hosted within the Pi interfaces, for example, similar to Facebook apps, Messenger apps, or WeChat mini programs. Some categories of potential Pi apps that can be hosted within the Pi interface include financial services apps for Pi. So these are applications that allow pioneers to access the emerging world of decentralized finance. And we've already spoken to developers building apps to allow people to own fractional pieces of real estate, as well as fractional shares in companies like Apple, Google, etc. We can have Pi social media apps. So this would be apps that allow pioneers to spend and earn Pi while engaging with high-quality content. We are especially interested in creating additions to the current chats system that curate for higher quality conversation. Another category is Pi marketplaces, and these would be apps that allow pioneers to exchange goods and services, similar to Amazon and Taobao for goods, and Upwork, Airbnb, and Uber for services. Also, Pi games. This could be apps that allow pioneers to spend Pi to play fun and engaging games, similar to how gamers today spend traditional currency inside their other games. Some examples of Pi payments include a QR code system that allows local retailers to accept payment in Pi, or your favorite local website creating a new Pay with Pi button, and who knows, someday maybe even Amazon will create a Pay by Pi button and will put it on their own website.
Let's talk about how we will implement apps platform. We will start with the focus on applications that are built directly on Pi network, Pi apps. Only when we construct a robust, viable Pi ecosystem through Pi apps can we attract external traditional industries to integrate Pi payments into their platforms. We will work alongside Pi community to identify the most promising applications to be listed on the platform. To avoid a Wild West situation where unchecked individuals taking advantage of fellow pioneers, the selection of the apps will involve community vetting and peer reviews to try to achieve relevance, quality, and trustworthiness. The development of the apps platform will begin in the second quarter of 2020. The application process for third-party developers is expected to open by the end of quarter 2, 2020. The in-app transfer pilot proved the need for apps platform that allows safe and efficient transactions using Pi and reduces abuses. The findings of the pilot mean that we will have to slow down the enrollment into the in-app transfer pilot until more apps are added to the platform that scale transactions of real goods and services, and when we design safeguards needed to prevent further abuses. While we will be slowing down the enrollment in the in-app transfer pilot, we will expand KYC after Pi Day, as KYC will still be necessary to participate in other Pi programs. Being KYC'd will no longer automatically enable in-app transfers, but will increase pioneers' probability of being selected to the in-app transfer pilot later as more apps are added to the platform. Being KYC'd will also be required for eligibility to run certain versions of Pi nodes on testnet. We will present an update on the node in our next video and why it's.
Hey everyone, this is Vince coming at you from Stanford, California. Welcome to the Pi community. I'm here to introduce myself and tell you a little bit more about what we're up to with Pi. So first, a little bit about myself. I'm a recent graduate from Stanford's Business School, which is actually around the corner over here, and I did my undergraduate at Yale, where I studied political science. Now, I've spent most of my career studying the question of how to build an economy where people can do well for themselves while doing good for the world. You see, today's economy is two zero-sum. When one person wins, another person loses. And because of that, more and more people are being left behind. So to fix that, I teamed up with a group of PhDs here at Stanford to build Pi. Pi is a new digital currency that's meant to reward people for positive contributions to the world. Now, if we're going to build the world's next global currency, we're not going to be able to do it alone. And that's exactly where you come in. As the earliest members of the Pi community, we want you to help us guide the progress of this currency over time. Now, to start, there are two things you can do to contribute and continue to earn Pi. The first is that you prove your presence and engagement with the community. To do that, we ask that you come back to the app once a day and tap the Mine Pi button in order to keep earning Pi. The second thing you can do is to help grow the Pi network. You see, the more holders Pi has, the more valuable it will be over time. And so, for every active person that you invite to the network, you'll receive a boost to your earnings rate. Now, over the next few days, we'll be reaching out with more communications to help you get up to speed with Pi and the project that we'll be working on. In the meanwhile, though, it would really help us if you submitted your biggest questions that you have about Pi so that we can better answer those questions over time. Welcome again to the community, and don't forget to keep mining. Hey Pioneers, this is Vince from the core team. We've been getting many reports recently about bad actors that are spreading lies and dishonesty about Pi on the internet. This includes one exchange that is conducting an unauthorized and illegal sale of Pi. Now, the Pi network is built on trust, and we at the core team strongly condemn these bad actors that are spreading these lies. Remember that there are only a few official channels for Pi. Our website, mindpi.com, inside the application itself, as well as our official social media channels on Instagram and Facebook. Now, we're going to need your help to police these actions. If you see any suspicious activity at all, please report them immediately on our social media pages or inside the application. Thank you, and we'll see you around.
Hi, pioneers!
So in this video, we'll talk about nodes that lead to testnet, which eventually leads to the decentralization of the mainnet. So let's start by understanding why we value decentralization to begin with, and then we will talk about what we really mean by nodes, and what's our implementation plans to get there. So why do we really value decentralization? At Pi Network, we believe that ordinary people should have a greater voice and capture a greater share of the value they create in society. We believe that the best way to achieve this goal is by building a decentralized currency and economy. Pi's decentralized currency will eventually be secured by a distributed global network of pioneers rather than being controlled by one single centralized entity. Pi's global network will be ultimately self-governed, meaning that the community can shape how Pi evolves over time. When Pi is fully decentralized, pioneers will also have full sovereignty and control of their own cryptocurrency holdings. So making progress in decentralization brings Pi closer to the phase where pioneers will be able to sell or exchange Pi without centralized interference, just like Bitcoin and Ethereum. In other words, moving into phase 2, the testnet phase, takes us one step closer to mainnet, phase 3, when Pi can be traded freely with other currencies in addition to trading for goods and services. So now let's look at what we mean by nodes. Pioneers that want to help secure Pi's currency can choose to become a node. Nodes are the fourth role in the Pi ecosystem and run on computers instead of mobile phones. Similar to other blockchains, Pi nodes will be responsible for validating transactions on a distributed ledger and resolve the challenges in maintaining a distributed currency by having all nodes come to a consensus on the order of new transactions getting recorded. Unlike nodes that use proof-of-work protocols such as Bitcoin and Ethereum, Pi nodes use a different consensus algorithm based on the Stellar Consensus Protocol. In that algorithm, nodes form trusted groups, quorum slices, and only agree to transactions that those trusted nodes in those quorum slices agree to as well. The security circles from Pi mobile miners aggregate into a global trust graph that enables Pi nodes to form quorum slices to determine who can and cannot validate transactions on a shared ledger. Also, unlike other crypto projects, the Pi node will continue to uphold the philosophy of user-centric design. Instead of requiring much technical knowledge to set up a node, ordinary people will be able to do that by installing a desktop application on their computers, just like installing any other computer app. Through this desktop application, pioneers can switch on or off the ability to make their devices available or unavailable for serving as a node. So by March 31st, 2020, we will make available the first initial version of Pi node, and you will be able to download it and install it. This initial version of the node will include two interfaces, the node interface and the desktop Pi interface. The desktop Pi interface will be similar to the interface of the mobile app and will allow people to check their Pi balance and use the Pi chats on their personal computer. However, only members who apply and get selected initially by the core team to serve as a testnet node will have the node interface fully activated. The detailed requirements and selection process about this will be announced along with the software launch. This version of the node is the first step towards building the Pi testnet, which will enable the core team to test the consensus algorithm and its scalability, calibrate configurations, and adapt and improve the general consensus algorithm. Pioneers who run this version of the node will not need to be concerned, though, about such complicated processes. If they are selected as a node, all they need to do is decide when and if their devices are available or unavailable to serve as a node in the testnet.
How will we implement nodes? The nodes for Pi's testnet will be launched and open for application by March 31st, 2020. In order to be selected to run certain versions of the node on Pi's testnet, pioneers will have to undergo KYC. More KYC slots will be opened up to support node enrollment and advancement of the testnet. More detailed selection criteria for Pi node will be released along with the software. But overall, the principles of node selection will be based on trustworthiness in the network, the availability and reliability of the device.
Hi Pioneers! Today we're rolling out the first beta version of the Pi node. When we launched Pi on Pi Day 2019, we aimed to release the first version of the node by the end of Q1 2020. Now, achieving this important milestone is the first step towards building the Pi testnet and ultimately towards the decentralization of the network, which is one of the two primary goals of the second phase of the project. This Pi node release not only enables the core team to test, revise, refine, and scale Pi's consensus algorithm, but it also provides a desktop interface for all pioneers to access the various Pi application functionalities from their computers. Everyone can download it today from node.mindpi.com. Please note that inside the program itself, you can find an application and screening process to turn on the various blockchain functionalities and participate in the testnet as we build it.
Along with the software, we're also releasing a document that describes the details about the node, its selection process and criteria, and the stages of the testnet on the same website. Keep in mind, this is the first beta version of the node, and the purpose of the testnet is to test, iterate, and improve the software. We're excited to present you Pi node and celebrate this milestone along with you, and open to any feedback you have through the topic below. Hi, Pioneers!
Hey, Pioneers. The core team here to give you an update on the in-app transfer pilot.
Over the last 3 months, a group of around 300 pioneers have been participating in our pilot for in-app transfer. The purpose of the in-app transfer pilot is to help us bootstrap Pi's peer-to-peer economy. First, the pilot should help us identify what pioneers are willing to offer in exchange for Pi, as well as what pioneers want to buy with Pi.
Now, understanding the supply and demand for goods and services in our economy is a key step to building a healthy market for Pi. And in addition to building the market, the pilot is also designed to help us understand what could go wrong. That way, we can avoid potential abuses of Pi and our community in the future.
Pi members were selected based on community recommendations as well as their previous contributions to Pi ecosystem. To prevent Pi mined by bots and bad actors from transferring to real pioneers, we require members of the pilot to perform identity verification, also known as the KYC. Additionally, the terms of the pilot forbade any transactions that involved fiat currency, such as selling Pi for dollars.
Now, as expected, the pilot has shown both very promising and some challenging signs. On the promising side of things, there have been transactions that show that pioneers have a lot of very interesting goods and services to offer for Pi. So for one example, there's a pioneer in our community who's a beekeeper, and he sold this collection of honey to another pioneer for 18 Pi, including shipping. Another transaction, a pioneer traded this digital camera for about 65 Pi. Also, we had one pioneer trade these special edition Nike Jordans for an undisclosed amount of Pi. And finally, another pioneer traded a children's scooter for about 3.5 Pi. So there are many more transactions that are lacking images. such as Pi for children's diapers, for oil, batteries, and automotive parts. These were only a few of the transactions that were conducted as part of the pilot. However, there were also many abuses of the in-app transfer. Although all fiat transactions were expressly prohibited by the terms of service, we received many reports of pioneers attempting to sell the currency or take advantage of other people. For example, some accounts made thousands of small transfers of Pi just within a couple days. And these transactions don't seem to be linked to any types of real goods and services and are indicative of an attempted sale. One other example of a sale of Pi is this example here, which shows folks trying to sell Pi being distributed on a schedule. We even received reports of people claiming that they were partially fundraising for charitable causes while in essence selling Pi. And there's no verification that the portion of the funds intended for donation were actually delivered to those causes. All of these reports ultimately fuel additional bad behavior when organizations and institutions can then claim that they have Pi to sell, such as in these unauthorized offerings of Pi. As you can see in this example, there's a apparent trade between Pi Network and USDT. And in this second example, there's some kind of group buying scheme of Pi, right, with a 20% discount, all of which are completely unauthorized sales.
Yeah, this type of behavior provides no help in establishing a healthy Pi ecosystem or building a foundation for Pi's economy. Instead, they endanger the existing and future pioneers with potential losses of money and the project as a whole by tarnishing our reputation. In conclusion, we have learned two major lessons from in-app transfer pilot so far. First, enabling people to transfer Pi should be paired with healthy ways to spend the currency and drive demand for Pi. Second, the Pi ecosystem needs a systematic approach or platform to support applications that scale the type of healthy transactions listed by Vince just now, and address the logistic headaches that arise when trying to transact with pioneers all over the world, or generally people all over the world. That concludes our update for today. What do you think of these findings and assessments? Please let us know by tapping below to join the topic. We look forward to your input.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Hello,
Hi,
pioneers.
Pioneers.
We really enjoyed discussing with you through the topics feature of the Pi application over the last couple of weeks. And one major theme that came out of these conversations was that people wanted to get more information about the plans of the development of the project that are coming up. So this is exactly what we're going to be doing over the next couple of weeks before Pi Day. We will be sharing more of these plans with you so that we can get more feedback before anything gets finalized.
So over the next 2 weeks, we're going to present short video updates of our strategic plan for Pi for the next phase of development. We also would like you to submit your feedback in a video format on social platform so that those videos and feedback will help us finalize the final plan. In the end, we will select a few of these submitted videos into a major video that we will release on Pi Day and to celebrate that day together.
Yeah, so if you have any questions or comments on this process, feel free to leave them by joining the topic below. We are really looking forward to this conversation. We have a lot of ground to cover between now and Pi Day, but we'll try to incorporate your feedback as best we can. And it's great to be talking to you again. We're looking forward to this.
Bye.
Bye.